universities. Yes.
Mtu kimbelembele huwezi saidia yeye.
Sorry, beyond help.
Or beyond salvage.
Yeah, well, in this country, you only need to look at our political class and just the tons and the mountain loads of things they say. Can you tell them to shut up? Just when you think they've sort of like run out of things which border on ridiculous, they come up with something you wonder, these guys, there is no limit to what these people can say. Yes.
It's like when there are kids in the house, their guests' kids have this penchant for saying things that you'd rather have them say. So you pinch them, but that's when they say it the more.
Yes. But that is a lesson to parents. There are things you should not discuss in the presence of children.
Yes.
Because they will repeat it. And especially when the guest who was being spoken of is present. So one may even ask them,
Yule.
bana kulaga sana.
Dinner table conversation is very important.
Careful.
Okay. Tom, what is IUPC?
IUPC, you have a lot of abbreviations. International University Pathways College. Which trading as we also call it. At the beginning, when we started it, used to call it International University Pathways College because it gave parents, students a pathway, or shall I say, an alternative route to top universities globally. But then, at some point, we brought in multiple programs. We have, for example, the International Foundation here, which is an alternative to A-level. So you realize countries like the UK, Australia, New Zealand have 13 years of education. Our KCSE here, or shall I say CBC, is 12 years. So if you transition to any of those countries, you have to do something called the foundation course. So meaning you wait on the borderline as the others start their first year of undergrad. So we brought this, it has a bit of a history. The pathway program started way back in 1987, that's about 37 years ago. We started it a couple of years ago, around 4 years ago, to give students who are transitioning to this country a chance to progress seamlessly without being made to do something else before they join their peers from elsewhere. So IOPC provide that program in country. We also have something called occupational English tests. These nurses and doctors who are going to work abroad in different countries, they are supposed to have some language proficiency. So we are an approved test center for occupational English for doctors, nurses, occupational therapists, anybody in healthcare, including vets. Then we are also on our way to being a Cambridge exam center. So meaning, if you want to do any Cambridge program, whether it's a CPD or a high school program, we're hosting that as well. And that's what we are. We are in the business of academics, and especially studying abroad.
I'm meant to assume then that you have a campus, physical campus.
Yes.
Where is it?
It's somewhere not very far from ABC. It's on the address, our street address is known as number 3 Kanjata Road. So
number 3
Kanjata
Road.
Yeah. If you're moving from that's where we are, right in Lavington.
It's easily, you can find it there's a pin on Google Maps. You just put number 3 Kanjata Road, or you put IUC
or International University Pathways College, you'll find us right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what kind of other programs do you have, Vanessa? Thomas told us about the foundation year, the Cambridge coming up soon, the English tests and others. What else?
So we are now churning out a program known as IY1. So that's International Year 1. So for students who wish to progress to UK, Australia, and New Zealand only, and specifically students who wish to do business and law studies. So that's basically the first year, we would say, of university. That's another program we have. And then we have Ontario Secondary School Diploma, which basically, as the name suggests, is for students who wish to study in Canada. So they come study with us after they're done with either Year 11 or KCSE Form 4. Then you do the Ontario Secondary School Diploma and progress to Canada. So those are our other programs which are available at IUPC.
So then how does one make the connection between then being in high school and finishing? Because it almost sounds like a bridging course or bridging, idea, is that the same thing that it would go with?
I wouldn't say bridging, because bridging has a connotation of you haven't performed well.
Okay.
This is for students particularly who have attained a certain grade. For IFY, which is International Foundation, it's a minimum of 5 Cs and above.
Okay.
And then once you get those grades, you come to us, and then we begin. It's like an introduction to your degree program. So we'll basically place you in one of the streams related to your degree, and then now you can progress to your first year of university. So it's like a foundation, a beginning to your degree program.
So how exactly does this help you with whatever course it is that you wish to pursue? What does it provide you with? What does it arm you with?
It provides you with the beginning, I would say the first year kind of introduction to your degree program. For instance, you want to do engineering in university degree. You'll be placed in an engineering stream at IUPC, where you get your introduction courses, and then there'll also be something known as English for academic purposes for proficient users. Wow, it's a mouthful. So EAPPU is also another program that shall basically make you compatible, or rather acceptable, in these universities abroad. Instead of doing the TOEFL, IELTS, and other English examinations, that's one of the programs you do. In addition, obviously, to the other sciences and courses that you'll do to get you into the engineering class.
Do I hear you to be saying that what essentially you're doing is any foundational course that you would otherwise do in Canada, for instance, you are getting the students to undertake those particular courses. So once they've achieved whatever the requirements are, entry into the university of their choice then becomes easier.
Yes, guaranteed actually.
Guaranteed.
What comes first? Does one first need to get admission into, for example, the Ontario universities for them then to come for this Ontario Secondary School diploma? Or does one need to come for the diploma first and then start applying for the universities in Ontario?
Begin with us, and then you apply for the universities. So I'll just let Tom probably explain that further.
Otherwise, what happens is that our classes are let me talk about the foundation program, the other foundation program, the International Foundation Year program. The classes are very thematic. I remember when I was in high school, we did like 10 subjects. These days, I don't know how many they do, about 8 minimum or 7. Ours are very thematic. You do what is important for what you're going to study. So our classes are divided into streams. We have the engineering stream, business stream, humanities stream, and then what we call the art and design stream. So the subject that you find in that stream, every stream has 3 core subjects. So engineering stream, for example, is physics, chemistry, math. Business stream is business studies, sociology, and maybe global studies. So it gives you a pathway, or you only do the subjects that are required for the degree program that you're going to pursue. So there's no mass wasting. And then we have something called EAPPU, which she just mentioned.
The long English thing.
Yes, the long English thing. But in short, we just call it EAP, English for academic purposes. So we don't teach them English. They already have some level of English. We teach them cross-cutting skills that will be important for their studies across the subjects. So at the same time, it performs the function of, it's required by UKVI, for instance, when you're asking for language proficiency, you already have it, because it tests listening, reading, speaking, and writing. And then there's a grade for every sub-test, and then the overall grade. So it's very deliberate. For the high school, for the OSSD, we call it OSSD. Canada has, every province in Canada or territory has its own system of education. So our preferred one is Ontario Secondary School Diploma. So it's a high school diploma. Actually, if I'm correct, it will take you to any university in the world, not just Canada. Because if you do KCSE, we wouldn't say KCSE is just for Kenya. So it's universally accepted.
Recognized. Yeah. Okay, so how long has this been in existence, and how was it created? For a need? Because do we get a lot of students who are going to some of these other countries, studying abroad, and then having to find that, okay, there's a little bit of something that you don't have? And then was that created out of that experience where there were so many people who said, okay, we needed to have done a little bit extra for us to actually start a university education? How long has it been, and how did that start?
So, as my colleague mentioned, it's been there for about 40 years now internationally. And then in Kenya specifically, our institution, about 4 years, heading on to 5. And this need was there because they wanted to create a program that's transnational, a program that will connect all students, you would say, and then progress them to universities, these specific top universities, which is the foundation year program.
So I get it that, for example, if we look at the IFY, it's a requirement by universities in the UK, in Australia, New Zealand, for you to get some certain level of proficiency. And that's a requirement for you to even apply. Okay? So this is where now you say that you first need to come to IUPC.
Yes.
Take the IFY, get that certification, then you apply for universities in the UK, in Australia, in New Zealand. That means that you'll have to have decided I want to go and study somewhere in any of these 3 countries.
Yeah, first of all...
So how do you, the question I want to ask is, how do you ensure that the person who's coming to you, this young teenager who's coming to you, is actually in their right sense?
Yes.
Are they making the right decision? Because this is a very important decision that is being made here.
Yeah, actually our program is very, very important, Eric, because previously, let me say, part of why we exist as an institution in country, at the height of COVID, it became even more challenging to live along these other grade requirements. It became even more challenging for students to transition abroad. So part of our mandate was to be a solution to the COVID question in terms of progression abroad. Some students could not quite cope with online learning. Others could not transition abroad. So they were stuck. At the same time, they were not interested in studying locally. So when we started it, even at the height of COVID, ours was in person. But of course, with all COVID security checks observed. So it's also an incubator for students before they progress abroad. Because we have top-notch facilities. Even the teaching method is deliberately structured like the same way it would be taught in Western world universities, the way you teach them. There's no rote learning. The classes are structured such that there is class discussion. You can take a back seat as a tutor, and then the students run the class once they're guided. So when they go out there, they don't get a culture shock, because we've had cases, and they're very common, of students who go out there, get a culture shock, they don't cope, they are deported, So at the tail end of it, we are able to socialize these kids or these students
into the life that they are likely to go and get
whether
there,
socially or academically.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
My question is actually before. Okay, so this is a young person who is maybe in Form 3, Form 4, or they've just cleared and they've gotten their results, and they have this big ambition and dreams to go and study engineering. And they're looking at the universities that they'd like to go and study engineering. So some are in the UK, some are in the US, some are in Canada, some are in Germany, wherever. And they hear about IUPC, and they come to you and they say, I'd like to, do some programs that can then take me. How do you walk this teenager through those steps? And of course, maybe sometimes they've come with a guardian or parent. How do you walk these 2 people into that proper decision making and knowing that this is actually the right program for me to do because this is where I'm heading?
All right. For we have external partners, the University Consortium. The University Consortium is made up of some of the top-tier universities globally. The founders of this program are members of the Russell Group of Universities, which are some of the research-intensive universities in the UK. And you're talking of Manchester, talking of Leeds, Liverpool, Queen Mary University, London, Birmingham, Aston University, those big names. And overall, actually our progression routes are 5. Major ones are UK, US, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada. And then it comes with a package of about 55 universities, 9,500 courses. So how do you decide which university to go to. First of all, we have an online tool called the NCUK Course Finder. So you simply Google, all you need is your smartphone. You key in the course of the country you want to go to, and then it gives you all the universities that are there, grade requirements. But that's not all. So that narrows down the search. So out of 9,500 programs, you are able to zero in on 1 or 2 or 3 that you are interested in. But then studying abroad, unlike locally, where all you need is fill in an application form, pay 2,000 shillings or 3,000, and then you're admitted. Transitioning abroad comes with a bit of paperwork. You have to convince the admission tutors that you know what you're getting into. If you want to be a medic, for instance, that's one of the most challenging, because we have about 8 campuses offering medicine. Why do you want to be a doctor? Which we don't do here. We have students going to med school and dropping out. So there are a host of papers. So we need to walk them right from week 1. For example, to transition abroad, you need like five documents for you to transition. First of all, you need to do your passport, which is automatic. Secondly, you need previous grades, because you transition after doing either Form 4 or grade 11 or 12 or 13. So you need to do, you need to write your CV in an essay format. That document is called a personal statement, or a statement of purpose. You have to convince the panel. The other one is, we don't wait for the results to come out for you to be admitted. We do what we call the predicted grades. We map out, we say, this student is likely to get an A in this subject, a B in the other, so on and so forth. So that is what is used.
So
yeah.
This figuring out, what do you use? There must be a basis for you to predict, or to, what is it?
Yeah, we look at your previous performance.
Yes.
We also give them a few in-house tests, and then we give you, like, if you have a B, give you the benefit of doubt, we can give you 1 grade ahead.
What do the tests determine? Are you looking for the IQ? Are you looking for testing their memory? Are you testing their ability to comprehend? What do these tests determine?
Yeah, they're largely competency-based tests. We look at within the subject area. Let me say the normal continuous assessment tests. They are taught 1 or 2 topics. They get a test while the memory is still alive. So whatever they score, we compare with their history, and then map out something close to what they've attained. Yeah.
And the understanding here is the previous grades may not necessarily have given a true account of what the students' capacities are.
Of course, that's why we take it a notch higher. You might have gotten a C somewhere, but from experience, we've seen students moving from a C, getting an A. So after a few tests, we are able to get a median and give you, and then we also look at the grade requirements for various courses. So that helps us also advise them. So you don't just choose a university randomly. For the same course, you'll find that a university requires an A, or we also have something called an A star. That's an 80 plus. Yeah, that is an exceptional performance. So we give you something commensurate with your ability, or slightly higher, because every student has a chance to improve. So that's why we give you the benefit of doubt, give you a grade ahead. Yeah, but of course, that will give you admission, but it's a conditional admission.
It is conditional.
Yeah, the condition being you have to meet
The actual result will still matter.
Exactly. The other document, talking of documents, would be a reference letter. So we have to write for you a reference letter. How do we know you? What co-curricular activities were you involved in?
Who's writing the reference letter? You or the school?
Well, every student is assigned a mentor who is a faculty member. So 5-6 students per tutor. So he has a conversation with them. We have mentorship meetings periodically. So you're able to have some one-on-one interview with a student, know that this one, while I was in high school, I was doing this program, I was involved in MUN, for instance. But it's not enough to be involved in the co-curricular activities. What matters for the admission tutors is, while being involved in that activity, what skill did you acquire? Or what soft skill did you acquire, and how does it relate to your chosen career? So that's very important. Yeah. So the personal statement you need to convince them even why do you choose this particular country? Is this program not offered in your
home country?
What are your post-study plans?
Right.
So it's actually an essay of about 4,000, not more than 4,000 characters, which they write. They develop gradually, and that's even as important as the grade when it comes to admission to university.
Eric, are we going to a break here?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's take a break. When you come back, we'll continue this conversation. City will have a couple of questions. We'll also ask a couple of questions, just trying to understand. And in fact, if we can get some case studies where you can tell us, about, students that have come to you and where they've ended up and what's happened and how the journey was like for them. Many people like to hear stories. That's what becomes believable, right? Our guests this morning, Tom Olang, he's the academic manager, and Vanessa Amolo is the student recruitment and marketing manager at the International University's Pathways College. What's that address again?
Number 3 Kanjata Road.
Number 3 Kanjata Road.
Off James Kishuru Road.
Off James Kishuru.
Lavington.
Hey, my friend, in this Nairobi. Yeah. We'll continue shortly. Keep it here.
Thank you.